My name's Nora, and I didn't choose to come to the Appalachian Mountains. I'm a textile conservator, a job that usually keeps me in climate-controlled museum basements, piecing together old fabrics for exhibits. Last week, an urgent call from a small historical society in Boone, North Carolina, changed that. They'd found a quilt ancient, they said, buried in a trunk in an abandoned homestead deep in the Pisgah National Forest. The job was simple. Assess the quilt, stabilize it, bring it back for study. The pay was good, and I was between contracts, so I packed my tools and drove, expecting a quick trip. I didn't know the forest had plans, or that a single thread could unravel everything. The road to Boone was a ribbon of asphalt twisting through ridges, the mountains looming like silent giants under a sky bruised with clouds. The Historical Society's office was a cramped room above a diner, where a nervous curator, Ellen, showed me photos of the quilt. It was unlike anything I'd seen: intricate spirals and symbols stitched in patterns that seemed to shift. The fabric dyed in colors that didn't belong. Reds too deep, blacks that swallowed light. It was found in Cold Hollow, she said, her voice low. Folks say that place is wrong. Be careful. I smiled, used to old town superstitions, but her eyes held a fear I couldn't shake, and the photos made my skin prickle, like the quilt was watching me. I reached the trailhead at dusk, the forest swallowing the last light, the air thick with pine and a sour tang, like mildew and ash. The homestead was a mile in, a sagging cabin overtaken by vines, its windows dark as empty eyes. The curator had given me a map, but my GPS was useless, spinning with static that formed spirals on the screen, like the ones on the quilt. I found the trunk in the cabin's attic, the quilt inside, heavy and cold, its threads pulsing faintly, as if alive. I spread it out, my hands trembling, and saw the stitches move, forming shapes, eyes, hands, faces that vanished when I looked directly. A hum started, low and melodic, like a loom weaving in the distance, and I swore I heard a voice in it, soft and urgent. Nora, touch. I pulled my hands back, heart pounding, and the hum stopped, but the air was heavier, like the cabin was holding its breath. My flashlight flickered, catching a shadow outside, a figure, small and hunched, cloaked in tattered cloth, its hands clutching threads that trailed into the dark. It didn't move, just stood there, and I felt its gaze, like needles piercing my skin. I packed the quilt, locked the trunk, and ran to my car, the hum following, the voice clearer. Stay. Weave. The trail seemed longer going back, the trees closer, their branches snagging my bag. And when I reached my car, the quilt was heavier, the threads warm against my fingers. I checked into a motel in Boone, the quilt locked in my trunk, but sleep didn't come. The hum was in my head now, a rhythm that matched my heartbeat, and I saw the figure again, outside my window, its cloak unraveling into threads that floated like smoke. My phone was dead, but the static played on my laptop, forming words. Nora. Finish. I opened the quilt, unable to stop myself, and the stitches had changed, showing a scene, a clearing, a circle of figures, a loom made of bones. I slammed it shut, my hands burning, and found a thread wrapped around my finger, black and slick, cutting into my skin. The next morning, I went to the Historical Society, needing answers. Ellen was pale, her hands shaking as she showed me a ledger from 1850, describing a weaver named Mara who lived in Cold Hollow. She made quilts no one could explain, Ellen said. Said they were woven with the mountain's threads, a pact for power. When settlers burned her home, she cursed the hollow, tied her soul to her loom. They call her the thread wraith now, say she weaves those who touch her work. I told her about the hum, the figure, and she grabbed my arm. Put it back, Nora, or she make you part of it. I didn't believe her, not fully, but the quilt was different now. The stitches forming my face, my hands weaving a story I didn't want to see. I drove back to the homestead, the hum deafening, the threads pulsing in my bag. The trail was clearer, the hollow darker, and the clearing was there, just as the quilt showed a circle of stones, a loom made of bones and vines, its threads glowing like veins. Figures stood around it, cloaked, their faces blank, their hands weaving air, their hum a chorus. Finish. Stay. One was smaller, and I swore it was Mara, her cloak unraveling, her hand stitching my name into the loom. I dropped the quilt, running, but the trail looped, bringing me back to the clearing. The figures were closer, their threads wrapping my wrists, cold and sharp, pulling me to the loom. The thread wraith appeared, its form shifting a woman, then a mass of threads, its eyes spirals that spun endlessly. You touched, it sang, and I saw my life, my failures, my loneliness. My hands preserving others' stories, but never my own. The threads tightened, weaving me into the loom, and I felt myself unraveling, my memories fading, my name becoming part of the song. I fought, screaming, tearing at the threads, breaking the loom's bones. The wraith shrieked, the ground shaking, the figures dissolving into ash. The hum stopped, the quilt burning without flame, and I ran, the trail clear, leading me back to my car. I drove, the hollow fading, the threads gone. I'm in Charlotte now, back to work, but the wraith's with me. Last week, I found a thread in my pocket, black and slick, weaving itself into my skin. At night, I hear the hum, Mara's voice singing my name. I looked up cold, hollow stories of missing weavers, a curse that binds through touch. They say the thread wraith never stops, that it weaves forever. I keep my hands gloved, my doors locked, but the stitches are on my walls now, and I'm terrified to sleep, because I know she's out there, waiting to weave me into the hollow.